A new game mode, a new fight, a new fire in Halo 5. Warzone Firefight. Team up with 7 other Spartans and see if you can survive the endless onslaught. Or invite your friends and play together to see who sucks ass, who kicks ass, and who can be the greatest Warzone firefighter ever. But with this new game mode on the horizon, can 343 Industries do what it takes to make Warzone Firefight awesome? Can they bring Firefight back to its true glory? Will they use this chance to redeem their reputation? Or will they use it as a platform to sell more rec packs? Find out on the next episode of find out on this episode of The Act Man. Quick warning, I recorded the Warzone Firefight footage using Halo 5's broken-ass theater. So if you see any glitches or weird things in that footage, that's the reason why. So what exactly does Warzone Firefight need to be awesome? Judging from the beta, it still needs quite a few things, but I'll get into those later. So the beta recently ended, and I think now is the time for us to collect our thoughts and give 343 Industries our feedback, because I think we all want Warzone Firefight to be awesome. So I played about 10 games, and I honestly have high hopes for it. And keep in mind that whatever 343 does with Warzone Firefight and Infection, it will speak volumes about their intentions for Halo 5's longevity. So this is a very important time for them. And for being a beta game mode, which is kind of bizarre, it was pretty fun. The greatest times I had were getting into an Oni Scout Hug for some good old drivey shooty, and running around splattering all the enemies I could find. Now, I always played this game mode with some friends, and I feel like if you're playing with people that aren't using mics or don't communicate, it's just not gonna be that fun. And I gotta give 343 credit for making this a beta game mode rather than just releasing it in the next update and saying, yeah, we're pretty confident, we already know what people want out of Warzone Firefight, we're just gonna release it. No, they make a beta and let people give their feedback. So that's really nice. And that will definitely make Warzone Firefight as good as it can be. But most of these things is up to 343 Industries to improve. With that being said, the way 343 has gone about releasing free DLC, don't think that just because this is a free update, that it doesn't matter if it's a cheap gimmicky mode or not, and you play it for 1 week and then you never touch it again. Remember this, Halo Reach and ODST both came out with kick-ass firefight modes on day 1. So don't lower your expectations for Warzone Firefight just because it's being released under the guise of free DLC. So let's get down to business. There's a lot of potential here, and I've come up with a few ways that 343 Industries can make Warzone Firefight awesome. Number 1. Give players the option to play it in customs and to customize it. Now let me just say something really important. If Warzone Firefight is not customizable, if it is online only, and if players have no choice to veto or vote on a map, if they have no control over Warzone Firefight at all, it's gonna die out faster than you can say Halo 4 multiplayer. Alright? I'm serious. Don't let that happen, 343. You've spent a long time creating this game mode, so you need to make sure everything is there to ensure its longevity. Otherwise, this is just gonna be cheap, gimmicky game mode. People are gonna play it for a week and then never touch it again. And if you want to put any faith at all in this huge project you've undertaken, you need to give fans the ability to sustain this game mode. No customization equals a quick death. And so if there's no customization, what does this mean? This means that every map and every wave is going to be completely random. And let's be honest, Halo 5 has enough random BS as it is with the rec system and map choice. Random! So once again, let's look at Halo Reach to see what was done well with Firefight. Halo Reach's Firefight was incredibly flexible. Players had the options to tweak the waves, stats, skull modifiers, and basically everything else they wanted to. And they could play Firefight online or offline, not to mention there was a ton of maps for them to play it on. So if Warzone Firefight maintains this level of customization, then players can play it the way they want to. Not to mention, the Halo fanbase is incredibly creative, and I'm sure they could come up with some truly unique firefight designs. So put some of that creativity in their hands, because they will do great things as they always have. So please, make it playable in custom games. Make it customizable, because Halo fans will be able to make their own awesome versions of Warzone Firefight. Number 2. Weapon drops, ammo increases, and refills. Now the truth of the matter is that Warzone Firefight is being made the way it is to, surprise, surprise, encourage people to buy rec packs. Because you can use your recs in Firefight now. The problem I constantly ran into is that there are so many enemies and not enough bullets. I was constantly redeeming Warthogs, Scout Hogs, Gun Gooses, and Chain Turrets because they were the cheapest and most effective way to kill enemies. However, weapons like the Needler, Fuel Rod Cannon, and countless others are going to run out so fast that it's not even worth it to use them. This cuts out a huge portion of viable recs in Warzone Firefight. Not to mention that most of the loadout weapons are going to run out quickly too. And if you don't have the extended magazine attachments, well, you're shit out of luck. So what needs to happen is a few things. Someone needs to go through all the weapons and give most of them an increase in ammo, just for this game mode. Also, at the end of each round, players should be giving a refill on weapons that they redeemed. And weapon drops are a really cool idea, and it was integrated in Halo Reach. So every couple of rounds, just drop some cool weapons onto the battlefield. And players should also spawn with max ammo. Also, when players kill a boss that has a super cool weapon like the Heartseeker, let the players pick up those weapons. Now, they don't have to implement all of these things, but something needs to be done about ammo and weapon viability, because as I was playing it, there were few strategies that were working, and my guns were constantly empty. Number 3, clarity and quality of life. Oh yes, quality of life. Overall, Warzone Firefight needs clarity and quality of life changes to make it more fun and less frustrating. So let's run through and list off my most important ones. One thing that really bugged me was how the enemies spawned in very random locations, especially the Prometheans. With the Covenant, you get to see their dropships and where they go, so you can anticipate where they're going to be. But Prometheans don't have dropships. They have that bullshit appear at random stuff. Also, there was no indicator where they would be spawning. But you know, this is good because it means your Spartan gets plenty of cardio. Yeah, this is one of those games, right? The more you run around, the stronger you get. But seriously, players need to spend less time looking for enemies and more time shooting them and strategizing. So give us a nav point that points to all the local spawns and dropships that are incoming. Also, when players pause the game, it'd be nice to have a big map show up and highlight all the enemies, because this isn't hide and seek. This is Warzone Firefight. Another thing is spawning. Yes, Warzone Firefight had some pretty god-awful spawns for the players, so those need to be made more consistent. Maybe some sort of buddy spawn system. And I had the thought about limiting the number of tanks and vehicles. A couple times I was playing with some guys who were quite rich in recs and could afford to bring in all sorts of tanks and mantises, and by round 4, everything was being obliterated. Now I know 343 wants to sell more rec packs with this game mode, and if there's a limit to what people can redeem, it might discourage that, but ask yourself this, 343, what are you truly after with Warzone Firefight? Are you after a healthy, fun, long-lasting game mode, or are you out for a quick buck? You have to decide what you're after, and I think Warzone Firefight needs to have its own kill-death ratio and stats, because some people don't want it to F up their KD. Also, the elites in the dropships are invulnerable, and they don't fuck around. They will kill you in less than 1 second. I'm serious, less than a second. Now, I know it's not 343's forte, but they need to make sure all the joints are greased by the time Warzone Firefight launches. Number 4, give players a veto or vote button. So, in the chance that 343 does not make Warzone Firefight customizable, what they need to do is finally implement some sort of vote or veto button for the maps, because if they don't, the whole Warzone Firefight map selection is going to be, once again, random. And it's going to be totally unpredictable and irritating because people won't know what they're going to play or what they're going to get. Now 343, you guys don't need to be a company that prides itself on the randomness of their video games. You can do wild and crazy stuff, but you need to do the right things first. Giving players the option to vote or veto, have some kind of say in what they play today is essential. Having the gameplay of Firefight be unpredictable is awesome because no two games will ever be the same. But players need to know what they're getting into, and they should have a choice or a veto button. Number 5, interactive and engaging maps. Are you tired of playing the same old Warzone maps over and over and over again? Of course you are. So how can 343 make the Warzone Firefight maps different, engaging, and fun? Well, for one, you can't just copy and paste the Warzone maps and put AI enemies in it. It's gonna get boring real quick. Now this is probably the most realistic and important thing that 343 should do. I'm not saying they should create a bunch of new maps to play on. That's a bit unrealistic, but adding some level of interactivity to Warzone Firefight maps will mix things up. If 343 just adds a bunch of forge items and scripting stuff, it will add a whole new level of gameplay. I've thought of a lot of ways they could do this. Hopefully Warzone Firefight can be played on all Warzone maps, maybe even the assault variants. There's so much potential for all sorts of different interactive maps, and it would be relatively easy to implement from 343's side. They have this great, incredible Forge engine. Now all they have to do is just bring that over to Warzone Firefight. Place some cover around, make things different, switch things around, put a big tower here, put another structure here. If you guys do that, you will have fun, interactive, and engaging maps. Number 6, foster the competition, foster the teamwork. Personally, one of my favorite parts of Warzone Firefight was that I felt like there was a semi-serious competition between my friends and I think what 343 needs to do is make Warzone Firefight a game mode that appeals to people who want to work together as a team and also people who want to compete against each other for high scores. They've already gone the approach of massively appealing to MLG and pro gamers, so why not continue that trend by making Firefight competitive too? Now I know what you're thinking. Most people want to play Firefight because they're tired of PvP. Well, give two sides to it. This all comes back to customization. If players can customize it, they can make it so that it's more teamwork oriented or more competition based. Again, we need the customization. And one thing that Halo 5 doesn't have that it's needed since day one is leaderboards. That's right, leaderboards would be so fucking awesome with Warzone Firefight. To see who's gotten the most points on a single map, that would motivate people to shoot for the top. You would encourage people to play for high scores, or time trials to see how fast they can beat everything. That's a way you can encourage the competition. And if Warzone Firefight will cater to competitive and teamwork-oriented gameplay, that's another reason why fans should be able to customize it. But if it's left the way it is, then it caters more to a competition-style gameplay than it does to a survival horde mode. Also, the idea of infinite lives and the same respawn timers makes dying have little to no impact. So either eliminate infinite lives or increase death timers as people keep dying. There needs to be some sort of penalty for dying, or reintroduce the campaign revival system. That would be appropriate for Warzone Firefight. Anyways, 343 needs to make Warzone Firefight customizable so that players can choose to play it competitively or work as a team. Number 7, diverse objectives. So Warzone Firefight needs diverse objectives because it can't just be run around and kill one specific enemy. That's gonna get boring real fast. Now originally, this whole section was going to be about me listing off all sorts of different, cool, fun objectives. And maybe I'll make that another video. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna leave that up to you guys. If you've got an interesting, cool idea for an objective in Warzone Firefight, then post your comment at the end of the video. Number 8, less Commander boring, less undying robots, more Jeff Steitzer. I'd go so far as to say Commander boring is the Jar Jar Binks of Halo. Yeah, nobody really likes her, and forcing us to continue to listen to her voice.
Enemy nearing victory. We're not out of this yet. We can still destroy the enemy core.
Well, we're tired of that. We need to hear more quality voice acting from a man who has an even more awesome voice than I do. Jeff Steitzer, the announcer for Halo. He hasn't been getting enough opportunities in Halo 5, and I think fans would be really happy to hear him return to narrate Firefight once again. Remember his voice in Halo Reach?
Reinforcements. Bonus round over. Firefight. Iron. On. Tough luck. On.
You're goddamn right you do. So have him narrate Warzone Firefight and the fans will go wild. The way they recycle Warden Eternal into this game mode 3 more times was profoundly unoriginal. 343, we don't care for Commander Boring and we're tired of fighting undying robots. I know you think Warden Eternal is your magnum opus, your greatest creation ever, but it's not. We're tired of fighting him, so give him to us sparingly. I don't think any Halo fan out there is saying, I want to hear more of Commander Palmer. I want to fight Warden Eternal 17 more times in Warzone Firefight. No! There's nobody on this planet that thinks like that. Now, the right thing to do is to give the players much less of Warden Eternal and to cut Jar Jar Binks out of Halo. Now, that's a tall order, but what does she bring to the table in terms of announcements that Jeff Steitzer doesn't? She gives bland exposition. All right, we need excitement. We need exhilaration. We don't need...
We win if we take down Wami. Make it a priority.
We need...
Killing Jara. Cheney Mania. You suck.
That's what we need and want, 343. More Jeff Steitzer, less Commander Boring, less Warden Eternal. Number 9, make it rewarding. So in order for players to get a sense of satisfaction from playing Warzone Firefight, it needs to feel rewarding. This means that players should get an appropriate amount of recs for how good they do on their own and as a team. Also, if there's going to be new armor released with Warzone Firefight, make players have to play Warzone Firefight in order to unlock the armor, and also add Firefight commendations. If you do all of these things, you're going to make Warzone Firefight rewarding for players and keep them coming back. Conclusion. In the end, the main thing that Warzone Firefight needs to succeed is to be customizable, and it needs to give players some sort of freedom and choice with what they play and what they do in it. Everything else I've listed comes from that, or it's icing on the cake. If Warzone Firefight doesn't have that level of customization that Reach and ODST provided on the day of their release, Warzone Firefight will die out so quickly. I'm 100% positive of that. Honestly, 343, it will die out. You have to give us the ability to customize it. So do the right thing, 343. You have the power. You have the feedback. You have the capabilities, the technology, the staff, and the determination to make it all happen. You can make Warzone Firefight awesome. But if you don't give that level of customization, your reputation will only get worse. You have a huge, solid opportunity to make people play Halo 5 again, to improve your reputation, and to sell rec packs on top of it. So you guys need to listen to us, you need to listen to this video and other players' feedback, and make Warzone Firefight awesome. Alright everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then you should leave a like and subscribe to the Actman channel. Also, I encourage you guys to check out the Halo Community Feedback program and sign up for it. I've heard some pretty good things about this program, and I'll leave a link in the description. And if you guys could share this video, tweet it to 343, and post it in the Community Feedback program, we would have a very solid chance of getting their attention and letting them know what they need to do to make Warzone Firefight awesome. So what are your thoughts on Warzone Firefight? What do you think it needs to be successful, to be awesome? And for all my subscribers watching, first off, I want to thank you guys so much for subscribing to my channel. And second, I want to let you know that I'm going to be posting another video tomorrow. It's a secret video, so stay tuned for that. This is the Act Man signing out. Peace!